テレ東ビズ。
モーサテプレミアムをご覧いただきいつもありがとうございます。テレビ東京の豊島晋作です。今回は世界最大の運用会社、日本円で1400兆円近くを運用するアメリカのブラックロックの経営幹部へのインタビューをお届けします。ブラックロックは i シェアーズなどの ETF 上場投資信託のシリーズなどでも有名ですけれども、この ETF を統括する幹部サムラムジ氏にインタビューを行いまして、日本市場の見方、今の ETF 投資のトレンドやその今後について聞いています。ブラックロックは経営トップのラリー・フィンク CEO が今月岸田総理と面会したことがニュースにもなりましたけれども、このラムジ氏もですね、岸田総理との夕食会には参加していまして、一部ではラリー・フィンク CEO の後継者候補の一人として時に名前が挙がることもある人物です。その世界最大の運用会社の幹部が今後のマーケット、そして日本市場をどう見ているのかご覧ください。
Salim Lamji, thank you very much for joining us today. It's a great honor for us to be with you. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to be back in Tokyo.
Thank you very much. And now the BlackRock is managing $9.4 trillion
That's
in assets.
Right.
And you can easily see go beyond the 10 trillion in the next.
I hope so, because I do think part of what we offer as a firm is the ability to offer choice and offer different ways for people around the world to access a world of investments.
Yeah.
And when I think about savers across the world, whether it's in a country like Japan, or I was in Germany a couple of months ago, Germany is also making a big transition from being a nation of savers to a nation of investors. Or even in the United States, where ETFs are still a small part of the overall investing landscape, that there's plenty of room to grow.
And in BlackRock, you are overseeing roughly $6 trillion in asset of the ETF.
Yeah, about half of it is in ETFs of that six, and about the other half is in index capabilities that will do for big pension funds, will do for big endowments, and will do for big government pension plans all over the world, including in Japan.
I see. Our political correspondent told us that you had a dinner with Prime Minister last night. What was the impression of his speech or himself?
Yeah, there were a number of investors that we brought from all across the world to be able to understand better the change that's happening in Japan. And a number of policymakers were there as well. And I think, at least for me, if I can speak for myself, it certainly filled me full of a sense of optimism about all the opportunities that exist in Japan. And the optimism was not just because the TOPIX is up by about 26%, making it one of the best performing markets in the whole world in local currency terms. But I think there was real optimism around a sense of growth, a sense of change. We heard a lot about initiatives underway to help more savers in Japan become investors and be able to participate in the type of growth that we've seen in markets around the world. And so I certainly came away with a very strong impression around the prospects for Japan, important areas like robotics or artificial intelligence, but also a real openness towards investment from all over the world to help fuel the further growth of Japan. So it was a very positive dinner, in my opinion at least.
Right. But the prime ministers in the past, Japanese prime ministers, tried to change the atmosphere of the financial market in Japan.
Right.
But not all of them succeeded. Do you think this time is different?
Well, this time is different is a very dangerous term in finance. But I do think that there are some changes afoot within Japan. It's always been a nation of savers, one of the best saving nations in the world. But it hasn't been a nation of investors. And I think that's starting to change as well, evidenced by the 33 million brokerage accounts, or even some of the things that we're starting to see with digital wealth platforms based here in Japan as well.
At the same time, we are seeing the massive inflation, which we have never seen these 3 decades.
Yep.
Could you tell us the implication of the financial market, especially for Japan?
Some of it is higher energy prices. Some of it are things that we're facing in the United States, just as you're facing in Japan. But I think one of the more encouraging aspects is the notion of wage inflation that's starting to grow in Japan after having not had that for decades. I think moderate rates of inflation that seem to be happening from wage growth in Japan, I think are a very positive thing, particularly given the past 30 years, because again, it fuels a sense of optimism, it fuels a sense of the future is going to be better than the past, and I think that has lots of benefits. It has benefits for the economy, it certainly has benefits for investing, and how people in Japan view investing and how they view being able to lock up their savings for longer periods of time through investments.
I see. And okay, let us talk about the current trend of the ETF market.
Yeah.
Could you tell us the global trends in terms of the ETF market?
Absolutely. So the ETFs have been around for about 32 years now. And in aggregate, it's about a $10 trillion marketplace. And so it's a vast marketplace. We expect that by the end of the decade, it's going to grow to be a $25 trillion marketplace. Now, what's the basic reason why that's happening?